Carrier own brand devices have traditionally had poor specs, but the Vodafone Smart Ultra 6 definitely bucks this trend by offering the best specs at a reasonable price. On paper, it definitely hits the mark on this one, but just how good is Vodafone's latest smartphone?
Hey, what's up guys, it's Nirav here for Android Authority, and this is my Vodafone Smart Ultra 6 review.
On the outside, the Smart Ultra 6 has a rather uninspiring and boring design. The ZTE made smartphone is a tweaked love child of the ZTE Blades S6 and S6 Plus with a few moderate changes, not least in the display. Beneath the display we've got the sole positive unique feature in the capacitive buttons, and the middle home button which act like a notification light by flashing when you have an unread item. The back of the Smart Ultra 6 is a metallic plastic finish that stands no chance of ever passing as metal, but despite the matte plastic finish, it doesn't scratch that easily. The handset also has a contoured edge, which is definitely strange as it's a unibody device and that goes against the unibody design. Also on the back of the handset is the 13 megapixel camera, which we'll touch on later, a single LED flash, Vodafone logo, and the Design by Vodafone tag. Moving to the front, the Smart Ultra 6 has a 5 megapixel front facing camera sitting just to the left of the earpiece. At 8.4mm thick, the Smart Ultra 6 is certainly not the thinnest smartphone in the world, but the extra thickness results in reassuring build quality. The size of the handset doesn't lend itself to comfortable one-handed use, so you're definitely likely to use both hands when using this phone. The buttons on the right side offer good tactile feedback, and the design makes it easy to find even when you're not looking at the handset. From the design to the impressive specs list, and despite its low price tag, Vodafone have managed to use a full HD resolution. The 5.5-inch IPS display looks good, but has average sunlight legibility. Viewing angles are pretty good, but the handset screen certainly won't win you any awards. The choice of 1080p resolution is what really sets the Smart Ultra 6 apart from all of the competition, as it delivers an impressive 401 pixels per inch density. On the downside, however, the handset is definitely a fingerprint magnet. Despite cleaning the screen frequently, it still manages to collect fingerprints, but given the price, it's definitely not a major drawback. The Smart Ultra 6 is powered by an octa-core Snapdragon 615 processor clocked at 1.5 GHz, and while the performance isn't market leading, it's certainly more than good enough for the price point. I had very few actual issues with performance, which is also possibly due to the optimized software, but the phone does slow down when running lots of intensive tasks at the same time. Alongside the Qualcomm processor, the Smart Ultra 6 also has 2GB of RAM and 16GB of internal expandable storage. The RAM especially is fantastic for a low-cost mid-range device, and the handset manages the RAM rather well, with an average of 1GB free when no apps are running. Considering that other devices based on Android Lollipop struggle with RAM management, the Smart Ultra 6 does extremely well here. The processor is paired with an Adreno 405 GPU, and the handset can definitely run most games with ease. Throughout testing, we noticed very little issues with graphics rendering and slow load times. Overall, the performance of the Smart Ultra 6 is definitely on par with most flagships, and completely surprising given the incredible price tag, which I'll touch on later. On the connectivity side, the Smart Ultra 6 has all you'd expect, including 802.11n Wi-Fi, GPS, Bluetooth 4.0 and 4G LTE. The handset offers LTE Cat 4, which means it can download at speeds of up to 150 megabytes and upload at speeds of up to 50 megabytes on the move. The speaker on the rear of the handset does get muffled sometimes when it's in your hand, and often sounds distorted when sat on a table, but this is to be expected from the somewhat uninspiring design. I'd have liked to have seen the speakers at the bottom or on the front of the handset, but this would have increased the price. And given the price tag, we can definitely forgive the speaker placement. The non-removable back cover and 8.4mm thickness means Vodafone have managed to put a 3000 mAh battery inside the Smart Ultra 6. The capacity is definitely on par with a flagship smartphone that can cost 4 times the amount, and the Smart Ultra 6 definitely deserves credit for its battery capacity. The large capacity is reflected in the battery life, with the handset's standby time easily approaching 3 to 4 days with low usage. With actual usage, the battery life does vary, but on most days I start my day at 8 AM and still have 30% left around 10 PM at night. Like most smartphones, the display brightness has a large effect on the battery life, but you should be able to get at least 4 hours screen on time from a full charge. The 13 megapixel camera on the back of the Smart Ultra 6 definitely fits the saying that a good camera is about more than just megapixels. Color reproduction is good, but the lack of any form of stabilization means that most images seem to come out a little bit blurry. The camera itself has a clean interface that's akin to stock Android and has a few useful features. A swipe beneath the viewfinder lets you switch between manual, auto and the preloaded modes, which include panorama, HDR, filters, multi-exposure, interval capture, and smile detection. From the viewfinder itself, you can also switch to the camcorder, toggle flash settings, set a timer, or switch to selfie mode. While under the settings menu, you'll find easy access to toggle settings, including image/video quality, geolocation, and review mode, which lets you view a picture straight after capturing it. Overall, while the camera software is intuitive to use and offers enough features to keep most users happy, the image quality is definitely something of a concern. That being said, this may be an issue relating solely to this particular review unit, and we'll definitely try and figure this one out, so stay tuned to AndroidAuthority.com. The Smart Ultra 6 won't just appeal to those looking for a budget handset, as the Vodafone ROM is one of the simplest and cleanest on the market. Previously, carriers have spent vast amounts of resources developing interfaces to make the handset truly unique, but this usually leads to bloatware and poor performance. With the Smart Ultra 6, Vodafone have kept the costs to a bare minimum, and as a result, we have a mostly stock Android experience with a few preloaded apps. Those preloaded apps can all be disabled or uninstalled, leaving you with a pretty much stock-like experience. Not all of the software is perfect though, as a couple of things really stood out. First, the app drawer is a complete mess. While it does display apps in alphabetical order, there's apparently no easy way to customize the order or move apps into folders. Secondly, the home screen management is very basic, allowing you to just add wallpapers or widgets, and it's accessed by a long press of an empty area, which a lot of users may not find intuitive. That being said, the rest of the software is pretty standard, and Vodafone has actually added a few cool tweaks. First, a swipe to the right on the home screen lets you open a predetermined favourite app, which can be customised in the settings menu. Second, the handset supports double tap to wake, which means you don't need to fumble around looking for the power button and can easily unlock the handset even in one-handed mode. Overall, the software is definitely interesting, and it's another example of the Smart Ultra 6 straying from the carrier branded device norm. While other carrier devices are often preloaded with loads of bloatware, the Smart Ultra 6 is clean and simple, and the lack of resources invested in pointless software have also helped keep the cost of the handset down to a minimum. Now to the price, and throughout this review I've touched on the price tag of the Smart Ultra 6 as a justification for certain decisions, but there's a very good reason for that. The Smart Ultra 6 costs just £125, which is roughly $195 on pay as you go. Yes, £125. And while it is locked to Vodafone, it can be unlocked for as little as £5. Let's put the price in context. The specs are vastly superior to the Motorola Moto G4G, and the Smart Ultra 6 makes the Moto G seem pretty overpriced. The specs are also on par with the experience offered by handsets like the OnePlus One and Huawei Honor 6 Plus, but the super low price tag again makes these handsets seem really overpriced. In fact, there is no other device that can match the Smart Ultra 6's features unless you double the price minimum. And this is where Vodafone has set a new benchmark not only for carrier devices, but for all entry-level mid-range handsets. Overall, the Smart Ultra 6 is definitely not a perfect device, but all of these somewhat minor faults can be forgiven once you consider its incredibly low price tag. Far too often a handset shows a lot of promise on paper, only for it to be a disappointment in actual use. But the Smart Ultra 6 is the opposite to this. Initially, I expected the handset to offer a somewhat good experience with lots of issues, but aside from the uninspiring design and somewhat suspect camera, I've been completely blown away. If you've not yet decided on what your next entry-level or mid-range smartphone should be, look no further than the Smart Ultra 6. Compared to everything else at the entry-level and the mid-range price points, you'd be foolish not to buy it.
Thanks for watching my Vodafone Smart Ultra 6 review. If you found the video useful, enjoyed it, or even just liked the phone, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up down below. Let us know your views on Vodafone Smart Ultra 6 and on this video in the comments below. And don't forget to hit subscribe because we've got so much more coverage coming your way. Stay tuned to both the channel and AndroidAuthority.com for all of the latest on Android smartphones, because we are your source for all things Android. I'll see you in the next video.